Welcome to Sound Like Us podcast and to today's guest, Sam Coe, lead guitarist from the new South London rock and roll powerhouses, Sunset Ruins. Sam, good evening. We've finally got this bloody thing working. How you doing today? You all right?
Good evening, Martin. Yeah, I'm well, thank you. Yeah, power outages and links and this and that, but we won't be stopped.
We won't be stopped.
So, how was the weekend?
Our weekend, yeah, it was all right. Quiet one. I've got little kids, so just stay at home most of the time. When I do go out, I do tend to hit it quite a bit. Yeah,
Yeah, fair
all
dues.
grown up now. Yeah, got little kids, so I've got to stay at home. How was yours, right?
Yeah, good time, mate. Yeah, very, very good. Yeah, got
Nice.
some information about a little gig we did. Maybe incorporate that later on.
Yeah, cool. All right, cool. All right, do you want to start by telling us a bit about yourself and the band?
Yeah, so I'm Sam Coe, Sunset Ruins lead guitarist, and so we're all South London based. Sunset Ruins was formed in late 2024 when Lee, the guitarist, Lee Paul, the rhythm guitarist and frontman, sort of contacted me and was asking if I'd like to work on some of the demos that he'd written. He sent me like a 4-track acoustic demo. He was working on stuff during lockdown and that, and I'd seen Lee in his previous band, The Front. Man Reese, our drummer, were in a previous band called The Front, and I'd seen him in 2014 at the Camden Rocks Festival. So I sort of knew the guys, kept in contact with them through social media. But yeah, me and Lee started working together in sort of 2021 and writing some songs. And you know, we demoed quite a few songs, and then in 2024 we sort of, you know, really wanted to sort of push it out there because we'd got like a great acoustic set going, and we'd done some stuff on my sort of home record setup and that, and
Okay.
but yeah, we contacted Reese in 2024, and he come down and jam with us, and Lee met his old school friend Freddie Dre, the bassist, at a mutual friend's barbecue, and Freddie come down and jam with us, and yeah, we just started hitting it hard, rehearsing, and we've got our own rehearsal room in Cheltenham.
Nice. That's all right, isn't it? That's good going.
Yeah.
Right. So, looking back on your own sort of personal journey a little bit, how did the music that your parents listened to influence you while growing up?
Massively, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
my parents, though separated, you know, my parents separated when I was a baby.
Yeah.
So my dad lived just outside of London, but my dad was a soul DJ back in the
How was
day.
he?
Yeah, my dad had the biggest CD collection I've still to this day ever seen. My mum, and growing up in Peckham, you know, there was all sorts of music, you know, always about lots of reggae, you know, and that. And my mum and older aunties were into acid house. But my dad, you know, my mum was a massive T-Rex fan. My dad loved the Stones, Jimi Hendrix. And you know, so yeah, it was massive. So around 9 years old, I started getting into guitar music really properly. We got bought. I still don't know who bought it and why for a Christmas, but it was Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses.
What an album.
Sort of come into my life. Yeah, just like an introduction into rock, and yeah, that was when I
Yeah.
was 9, and I just fell in love with that sound and that sort of rock and roll, and then found the band, you know, watching their videos and buying magazines, and so my
Yeah.
dad, where he lived, he had MTV as well, so that was like a massive part, you know, sort of that was kind of 89, 90 around that era, you know, so it's just all the
Yeah.
big American bands. This was before, you know, the second invasion of English bands in '94 with Oasis and that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was Slash. Slash was my first guitar hero.
Oh, man, he's a fucking hero, isn't he?
Yeah,
Fucking
he's
hero.
iconic. He's a legend. You know, I mean, the man's written some of the biggest riffs ever, and that.
Mm.
So yeah, I got to see. Well, I think it's one of the next questions down the line we'll answer. You know, about first live experiences and that. But yeah, my parents' very varied collection of music.
Yeah. Okay. So, can you remember sort of how your background and the places you grew up in helped to shape you? Were there any particular experiences that sort of happened that you remember?
Well, yeah, I just, you know, because I grew up in London, you know, it was just a multicultural of just styles, and you know, it wasn't until about 13, 14, you know, with the second sort of Britpop invasion, that kind of thing. But
Yeah,
You know, just I mean, you know, I remember going to buy a ticket for Guns N' Roses in HMV when I was 10 because I went to see them in '92, and you
yeah,
know, being able to go and buy a ticket over the counter,
yeah.
you know, back in the day, you know, being around Denmark Street, you know, Peckham's only half-hour ride from Soho or the West End, which is like another world. Peckham, you know, and being, I remember walking down Denmark Street, you know, when I was 10, 11, and just like all the guitar shops, like, wow, it's like heaven.
Even want to go there now, it's like if I had £1 million, I would go down that street and I'd come home skint.
I was there Saturday actually. I had to pop down
Well,
and get a few tips, and it's still, you know, there's a lot of shops. I mean, Denmark Street has changed quite a bit. There's a lot of shops, but
yeah,
there's still a lot of shops gone, but there's still, you know, some good quality shops there. Yeah, I mean, there used to be shops like down Charing Cross Road as well. I worked in Soho later on in my life for like 8 years. So there was guitar shops all along and outside my bus stop. I
yeah,
just used to let buses go by and just, you know, double neck Gibson guitars and that, which Slash played on the Use Your Illusion tour
yeah.
and
He did, didn't he?
made famous by Jimmy
Fucking hell.
Page. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Jesus, it's my birthday soon. I'm gonna tell the missus to go down there, get my present.
good man. You stop down there. You deserve it.
Yeah, I think I do actually. I'm looking after the kids this week
Yeah.
because they're off school.
Half
So
term.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Good luck.
I fucking need it after today. All right, so you and Lee officially formed Sunset Ruins in 2024. Do you want to talk a bit more in depth about how that sort of came about?
Yeah. So as I say, we was rehearsing, you know, Lee would come over to my place and we laid down some loads of stuff. You probably can see in the background, I've got a Mac and, you
Yeah,
know, we'd be logic, to sort of lay down, you know, I've got a few microphones and we'd record in my living room, just getting Lee's acoustic down. And then I'd make drums for him, on Logic, for the drummer. And then we would, you know, we were getting songs mixed and mastered actually, through Old Street Studios because even though I'm a Peckham boy, I now live in Shoreditch,
oh, you
but
ain't
I'll
done
always
that,
be a
have
Peckham.
you?
I
God,
have, I have. So yeah, I Shoreditch now, but so yeah, Old Street Studios is just up the road from me.
yeah.
And so we was getting us some songs mixed and mastered from them, but I can tell you, I go back and now listen to them original demos that we were sending them, my recording, some of the weak guitar files that I sent them was embarrassing. It's cringeworthy listening back to them, but they done a great job, at the job. Even Shelby Logan Warren was the head engineer there, and Shelby mixed and mastered a few for us, and with Jerry, the owner, he done some mastering, and they did wonders, giving back what they did
Yeah,
and that. But yeah, me and Lee, we was songwriting for. I mean, Lee's such a prolific. He's a great songwriter, and you know, he kept songs to me and we'd record them here and we had about 15, 16. We had like an acoustic set going, me and Lee, and I'd go over to Lee's rehearsal room in Charlton, and we'd sit there in the rehearsal room in the winter, freezing. There was no heater in there. Me and him would sit there playing acoustic,
yeah,
and we were debating. And people were going to us, "Oh, release your songs. You know, they're great. Release it." You know, but Lee was, rightly so. Now looking back at it, you know, we weren't ready. We didn't have a band, but we started jamming with one of our good friends, Dan Stott. It was a drummer, but Dan made it pretty clear that, you know, listen, I'm not going to go and do the rock and roll band thing again. He's a couple of years older than us, but he said, I'm not going to go and do it. I'll help you boys. And actually, the first time we jammed with Lee in the rehearsal, with Dan in the rehearsal room, was the first time me and Lee had actually plugged in and played electric together, because we record separately in my living room. So that was the first time we actually, you know, blasted our amps out, and we just looked at each other. It was like, we've got to do something with this. And after a while, Lee run Reese, and it was just around the time that Oasis had announced their reunion tour, and
really good
yeah,
timing.
yeah, and Lee rung Reese, our drummer, and just said, "Listen, you know, I've got a new project going. You know, we've got these songs. I'd love you to come and jam with us." And Reese actually said, "Lee, I was thinking about you because I'm trying to get Oasis tickets. I mean, we're all massive Oasis fans."
Yeah,
And he said, "I was actually like you, Lee, the other day recently while I was trying to get Oasis tickets, and yeah, Reese come down. He jumped at the chance. I mean, I'd seen Reese in his previous bands as well, the Front, and he drummed for the Icy Ones, which I know you interviewed Dan the other day,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the other week. So we're supporting them at Dingwalls next month.
Yeah, I should be there.
But
I should
but
be
yeah,
there.
we got Reese in, and yeah, come down, mate. It's going to be for their album launch. I mean, you would have heard
Yeah,
the album.
yeah.
It's going to be a big night. We're supporting them with heavy ball, so it's going to be a massive night. But yeah, Reese come down, and Reese is a leader from the. But I've always known Reese is the way he drums is. She's just such a powerful force, and then Lee met old school friend Freddie Dre, a mutual friend's barbecue. Freddie come down. Freddie's an absolutely amazing bass player. He's like a lead bass player. And when I was doing the demos, I'm a very root note bass player, but Freddie is, he is a top musician and a top lad. So yeah, we were just jamming on the songs, and it became apparent that we had something special. Everybody sort of looked around at each other and went, this is great.
So when it came to looking for the rest of the rhythm section, was it a difficult process going for that before you finally found the guys that you've got in the band now?
Well, in a way, not really, because we didn't really look elsewhere. Because I
Mm,
think me and Lee were quite hesitant, or we were sort of like, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to be an acoustic? But it was sort of like we was making full-fledged rock and roll music, and the demos, or I say the demos, they were getting mixed and mastered by the Street, and they were fully fledged band songs, and I think the best bands, if you look back through history, that they're very, that they're organic. They're their mates, their gangs, they're and we just, I don't know, it just didn't. We didn't actually advertise for anyone. We didn't. It just didn't happen that
really?
way. And so really, the first drummer and bass player we jammed with was Reese properly was Reese and Freddie.
Yeah. Well, that's good because
Because
it shows
I
you've
don't
already
know
got
if
like. I was going to say that's good because you've already got the kind of chemistry and stuff, and yeah,
Yeah, I mean, when you see when you hear Liam Reese, they have got a musical and personal bond. They have got a
yeah,
musical bond that is unbelievable to see and be part of.
mm,
When Lee starts playing an idea, excuse me, when Lee starts playing an idea, Reese automatically knows. I mean, their previous band, The Front, was so tight, and
mm,
Reese is such a great drummer, and him and Lee are just like they've got this musical bond and it's so personal. So they just fitted in. It just fitted
yeah,
so well,
yeah,
And Freddie's such a great music. His ears, he picks up stuff. I mean, he doesn't even need to look at what Lee's doing. Whereas we have to look and go, what chords is he playing? But Freddie's just head down and he just plays. And, so it was pretty seamless, to be honest with you. And
yeah,
because we'd had the songs, really, the songs we were able to give the lads the sort of the songs to learn or listen to. And so they were going, okay, we're pretty prepped when we come in, but as you're well know, the songs change from being what they are, and our rhythm section have taken the songs to another level. They really have.
yeah. I've been listening to your David song, "Leave It All Behind." Fucking, it's got this massive sound.
Yeah, thank you.
It's fucking incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we are tight as a band. And a little story about that actually. So we got with Reese October 2024, and I actually had some vouchers to go into Old Street in November. Oh, I had some vouchers, and I said to the lads, "Come on, let's go in and record for the day." And we just went in, and we weren't ready as a band, and we was getting some mixes back, and it just wasn't. By that time, we was rehearsing quite a bit, and we play extremely loud in our rehearsal room, ear splitting level. Not good for our hearing, but it's great fun.
Yeah,
And we just weren't ready as a band compared to when we went into this studio to record our single "Leave It All Behind" in May 2025 with Michael Smith in RYP Studios, recording studios in Rayners Lane. And Smithy's a top producer,
yeah,
engineer producer, and we were so much better as a band. We'd been practicing for about 8 months then, to 8 months. We were so much tighter as a band. That official studio session went so well.
That's
So yeah,
good.
the Wall of Sound. You know, we're all
Yeah,
big fans of the Wall of Sound.
yeah. When I first heard your song, I had to peel myself off the wall.
What a reaction! That's what we want. Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
we've had a great reaction, mate. It's been out two weeks now.
Yeah,
You know, and the reaction to it has been heartwarming. I'd like to say thank you to everyone that supported it, such as yourself. And
yeah,
we've been added to our playlists, and yeah, we're really proud of it. And yeah, we've got a lot more coming.
yeah. When on the 8th for the gig, where supporting the
Yeah.
IC ones, they put me down on the guest list very kindly.
Oh, lovely,
I'm gonna bring I'm gonna bring the missus down as well because it's near her birthday, and I don't think she's quite
beautiful.
understood what she's going to let herself in for. Buy some ear, I'm
Well,
gonna buy
tell
her
it, you
some
know, it's
earplugs
nearly a
for her
sellout.
birthday. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm really looking
and
forward
that's
to it.
me a race drumming. Yeah, yeah. We so I
That'd be
think
wicked.
I think I see the lads. I see one post something today. There's only 40 tickets out of 500 left,
Yeah, yeah. Gee,
so it's basically sold out. You know.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Right,
So
is
just
there
a quick, if anybody's not got their ticket, get your tickets.
get those tickets in now? You've been warned.
Yes, good man.
Is there a specific piece of music that takes you back to another time or place, like brings back kind of memories or emotions, anything like that?
There's quite a few, as I said. I think growing up, but I think one of my fondest memories. I remember the first time I heard Jimi Hendrix Voodoo Child, and I mean, there's so many for me growing up. You know, hearing Jimi Hendrix Voodoo Child. You know, the reason I started playing guitar, as we spoke about previously, was Slash. You know, Guns N' Roses, when the Guns N' Roses did the Freddie Mercury music tribute show in like '91, and at that time they were the biggest band in the world.
Yeah,
And I remember it was a hot summer's day, and I remember Slash walking out on stage and playing the intro to Paradise City, and I was like, "That's what I want to do."
jeez.
And that was magical. And I got to see them. I was 10. I got to see them the next year. Or I think it was, yeah, that was 91. I think they come to Wembley in 92 for the
Yeah,
usual tour. Um,
yeah,
but one of my fondest memories I'll always remember is when I was 12, when my daddy used to read Q magazine, which was, you know, massive magazine back in the day.
yeah,
And he'd read about this Manchester Scally band that were, you know, making a name for himself, and definitely
yeah,
maybe it'd been. I remember my dad going down to R Price back in the day when you could buy CDs. There's the R Price store, and my dad had a garage, and he'd halved it for me and built like a little studio and soundproofed it. My dad was a brickie by trade, and he proved it. And I remember still vividly now, you know, my dad blasted out at ear splitting level Rock and Roll Star.
oh,
It's
mate.
me and him stood in this room, and just that sound. I was like, God, what is this? You know, so that album.
Yeah, I remember back when I first got into Oasis when Morning Glory come out.
All right,
I
yeah,
did.
cool.
I was I was completely blown away. I didn't know music could mean something like this to someone like me. And then I got my first
Yeah,
guitar and amplifier, and I was just playing the fucking thing, learning the songs. I got a fucking letter from the council.
good man.
Yeah,
I just framed. You should have that on your studio, all framed.
yeah, it should be my first fan letter from Croydon fucking council. It's not the last time they've sent letters to
Yeah,
me either.
love it, love it.
Wankers. Right, so who would you say are your main influences? Sorry, mate.
As a guitar, personally, as a guitarist, I would say
Yeah,
Jimi Hendrix.
mm,
Jimmy for me is, you know, he gave it all to you. You
yeah,
know, fuzzed out rock, blues, soul, funk. But yeah, Jimmy. But you know, I mean, who could be classed as the world's greatest guitarist?
yeah,
And you know, I'm a big blues fan. Stevie Ray Vaughan is one of my idols. But yeah, you know, I mean, for me, you know, Noel Gallagher, you know, just plays solos. Not only for me, he's my favorite songwriter, but you know, he just plays solos that are singable, you know, and
yeah,
just
yeah.
you know, which is you probably couldn't sing some Hendrix solos because they're a lot more
Intricate,
virtuoso.
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, my influences are sort of Hendrix, Vaughan, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Noel Gallagher, Keith Richards, David Gilmour. But I know as a band, you know, we're heavily influenced. Lee, our frontman, singer, songwriter, is a Beatles fanatic. He is a Beatles obsessive. I mean, literally, and his mum brought him up like that. You know, she's a Beatles obsessive, and so Lee is
Yeah,
very, you know, the Beatles and Oasis are you know top dogs for him.
yeah, that's good.
But as a band, we've got a lot of influences. You know, Freddie, our bass player, is into the Cure. The bassist, the Cure's bassist, I forget his name, which is bad, but he's very into the Cure, and he brings that into it. Reese, you know, Queens of the Stone Age. When you hear Reese drum, you can hear Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah. As for the band, we've got quite a few different influences. But yeah, they're my kind of guitar heroes.
Right, I've got a random question for you now.
Go on, hit me.
If you could take any person to any gig in history by any artist, A, who would you take? What gig would it be? And why would you take that person to that gig?
What a question. Good man.
Bang.
What would I? I think just to go back because I've seen Oasis 5 times.
Yes.
I
So,
think to go back to 1967, Jimi Hendrix, Royal Albert Hall, and just you know, just to see Jimi Hendrix, and I'll take my dad because he was the man that introduced me to Jimi Hendrix. Yeah, I'd take my dad to just to go back to Royal Albert Hall and just to sit there. Been lucky
yeah,
enough to see a couple of artists at the Royal Albert Hall actually, but I think you know for what Jimmy was doing in the '60s, for what all the bands you know kind of thing, but for what Hendrix was doing, which was just wild, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think it was 1967, Jimi Hendrix at the Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah, that'd be quite a good sort of full circle moment for you and your dad, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
In a
yeah,
way.
it'd be beautiful, you know. Yeah, as they introduced me to Jimmy's music, and yeah, you won't be able to see it, but I've got a beautiful picture from my dad in the hallway of Jimmy. You know, as I walk past Jimmy every day and give him a nod. You know, so
Bless
yeah,
you.
he's a major influence in my life. But yeah, I think that's for me. 67 Royal Albert Hall, Jimi Hendrix.
Good answer. So,
Thank you.
pe- what was the first piece of music you ever wrote?
Personally, it was probably a terrible badly written song, you know, back when I was 13, 14, trying to copy Noel Gallagher. And it's probably was, I don't know, Jack and Jill up the hill or whatever. And, you know, yeah, it was, God, I couldn't actually remember. Probably could, well, you certainly wouldn't want to hear it. You know, back when I was 13, 14, it was probably an Oasis ripoff. I'd love
Yeah,
to know what Lee our songwriter, his first song would be. Because as I said, Lee's our main songwriter, and he's a top songwriter.
yeah,
So he's obsessed by the Beatles. The melodies that he writes are top class. Yeah, I would love to. I would love to do that, but I mean, I'm 43 now, so you know, the memories of I've got certain good memories of 13, but what the first actual song I wrote, I don't honestly know. But I remember sort of when I was sort of 18, 19, I was writing better songs, and sort of
yeah,
wrote, I wrote a beautiful song called Sister Bliss about my little
yeah. Okay.
sister, which is beautiful, and that was on like one of my first original band albums. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
yeah,
we've all been there with our first songs, haven't we? I'm just looking over at my
yeah,
cupboard now. It's got my old songbook in it. I thought,
good
don't
man. I'm
really want to
glad you.
look in there. Don't want to look in there.
They can always be reworked.
Do you know what? The amount of songs I've got in there where I've finished half of the first verse and thought, I can't be fucking bothered with this anymore. Shocking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no, mate. Next time you've got a bit of time when you've got the acoustic out, just sit down and pick
Yeah,
one and try and finish
yeah.
one, you know, because you
Yeah,
never know.
I could cheat some words from it. That's a good idea. I might
Yeah,
take that. I might do that.
yeah, yeah. There's always something fresh and you can look at it from a different perspective,
Yeah,
especially being a dad now, you know, some things, you know.
yeah,
So,
true, true. That's a
yeah,
good point.
your life experience.
Yeah. So, do you recall the first gig you ever went to? Your first live experience? Was it Guns N' Roses or
Well, officially, it was Michael Jackson. Officially, which I'm not.
was it? Okay.
But yeah, officially it was Mark. I was 5, and my dad took me to see Michael Jackson at Wembley.
Mm,
And I have two. I don't actually remember. I have 2 memories from that day, and it wasn't of any of Jacko, but there was a Jacko impersonator in the crowd who
that was
was
it.
had the glove on, had this and that, and was dancing, and the whole crowd, it was like a riot. There was nearly a crush. I remember that. And I remember Jacko's guitarist. He had a female guitarist, a big blonde-haired lady. I forget her name. Great
Yeah,
guitar. And I remember Dirty Diana, and I remember seeing her up on the screen. But my first, I'd like to say my first official rock concert was Guns N' Roses 1992 Use Your Illusion tour. And I have such vivid memories of that. You know, I
yeah.
got a black eye that day. Somebody ducked. Someone was giving someone a right hand. I got a black eye. I had cigarettes put out on me. I was getting crushed.
Jesus.
Literally, where the barriers were at the front, we was there. I was getting crushed, and I remember the security just bunged me on. I was crowd surfing. I was this and that, and you wouldn't believe it, but I had long hair when I was 10. Back in the day, I used to have long hair, and I had my bandana. I thought I was, and yeah, crowd surfing at 10, and it was just a wild gig. The energy was
Wicked. I would love to have
unbelievable. I
seen them
still
back then.
remember. Yeah, yeah, they were the most dangerous band. I mean, that was they were the most dangerous band. I mean, they soon imploded after that. I think around at the
Yeah,
end of the Use Your Illusion tour, really, it started to crumble, and it was never the same. You know, possibly never the same when Izzy Stradlin, their rhythm guitarist and one of the main songwriters, when he left because it was just
yeah,
all too crazy for him, and he got sober. Was kind of, but yeah, I mean, if you read about the band when they say we didn't want that sort of finish because we sort of knew when we come off the road that was probably it. But yeah, I count myself very lucky to have seen that gig. I've seen them
yeah.
twice in Milton, once in Wembley, I'm in Milton Keynes, but yeah, Wembley
Okay.
Stadium was
Yeah. The old Wembley as well. So much better than the new one.
the old Wembley. Well corrected, they're the towers, yeah, instead of the arch. I mean, the arch
Yeah.
is very imposing, but the old Wembley just had something about it.
The only time
Yeah.
I ever went to the old Wembley was for Oasis in 2000. What a fucking day that was. What a
Yes,
day.
yes, yeah. I never made it that day, unfortunately. I don't know why. That
No.
was the Familiar to Millions CD that come out,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah,
The tour.
yeah.
Was you there the
Luckily,
first night or the second night? The second night, Liam was a bit.
the first night, thank God,
You timed it right then.
first night. Yeah, Jesus. I saw the video of the second gig. Fucking nightmare.
He's just on one, isn't he?
Yeah. I
Eh,
thought he was going to punch Noel at one point.
yeah. But I always had a great quote. Noel come because he was steaming. It was steaming.
Yeah.
I don't know what song it was, but Noel come. He said no. He said he come over to me at one point, whispered in my ear, went, "You've been drinking," and he was saying that to Noel. It was. I mean,
What a
I mean,
fucking pair.
have you ever seen the James Hargreaves? He does YouTube channel, and he done a dissection of that second night, and like every sentence that
Nah.
Liam said. Oh, mate, check it out. It is hilarious.
I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
Yeah,
James
it's
Hargreaves,
hilarious.
yeah?
James Hargreaves, yeah, he does a lot of great Oasis stuff on YouTube. But when you see the subtitles, because obviously sometimes Liam just rambled. This was on many other gigs. Liam just rambled. He didn't know what he was saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, legendary.
Wicked. Yeah. So tell us about the recording sessions with Michael Smith at RYP Recordings that you were speaking about earlier.
Yeah, so as I say, Reese had we'd gone in, we hadn't quite got it right, and then we were listening to it, the previous mix, just for whatever reason, and then Reese said, "Listen, I've recorded with this guy, Michael Smith." Called him Smithy, and he said, I'd like to put his name in the hat, and I'd like to go and record there. He recorded, I think, there were the IC1s, a Forte, which was Dan's other band, and then Coburn, which was Dan's solo band from the IC1s. There's footage of Reese in there actually recording, having a little kip as well, like he likes to do on the sofa, But yeah, so Reese said, "Oh, Sam, so we checked out the studio, and Michael's got a Spotify list of like the artists he's produced on there." And straight away we were like, yes, yes, let's book this, let's get in there. And it was really impressive. And his studio, I was checking out his studio. I mean, all the stuff, I was like, oh my God, I'm a bit of a studio nerd, love the gear and that. So yeah, we went in there. We booked Smith. Smith does an unsigned deal where we're, because he works with a lot of signed bands. So we booked in, and then we went in on the 22nd and 23rd of May, 2025, and we had 2 days in there. And honestly, within half an hour of setting up and playing and going through a few takes and just hearing some playback in the control room. In fact, just hearing the sound in our headphones, we were like, yes, this is our sound.
Working.
This is it. And Smith likes to record. He goes through. I mean, he's got a lovely, I don't know, 28 or 48 track desk, AMEC desk, and
Yeah.
he's lots of analog stuff. So he likes to go in and record. He likes to, add this stuff as he's recording, so you capture that sound. And I think that's really important, because in today's technology-led world, a lot of stuff in post mixing, a lot of bands go, oh, we'll fix it in the mix, or we'll get the sound in the mix. And when you hear that sound, you play differently. It gives you and he's got a lovely control room. He's got a lovely live room, and and him and Reese had a great bond due to their previous recording. So it was very easy. We went in and introduced ourselves, and them two were bantering with each other, calling each other certain names, which I won't repeat, so it was a very great environment. And Smith's got a great assistant, Marco, who is a whiz on many instruments and on the computer. He's in his system. And but yeah, as I say, literally within half an hour, we were like, this is the sound. And we was there the first day. That was the Thursday, and I think we went in there at 11, and then by 4 we was in the boozer. We'd laid down all the instruments. We was rocking, and they've got a great little Weatherspoons with a great beer garden, like about. Yeah. And
Do you
this
know
was
what? Going to say that's my perfect day at work. Do as little as you can, then fuck off down the pub.
11 till 4, our kind of hours, hit the boozer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we'd laid down all our instruments, and Smith works you hard. Reese come out of the recording room ripping. He works you hard. And we recorded as a band, got like the track down, and then you go in and do your own bit. So Reese would record again over the drums, but because we had that vibe, and I think him and Freddie, the bassist, Freddie, they went in as a rhythm section, laid their stuff down, and I think they did like 6 takes, and then Smith was sort of editing and doing some comping and went, yeah, I've got all I need. And then I remember, Lee, it was such a great moment because, stuff like, on Logic and that, and there's some great guitar sim software, but there's nothing like going through a big tube amp and with that analog sound. And Lee started laying down his rhythm guitar, and we just looked at each other and went, we've been waiting 4 years for this to catch sound. And I laid down my guitars, and as I say, and then the second day we went in and done all the vocals and percussion and that, and then by about 5-6 o'clock we was back in the Weatherspoons, and which was great. And we was the last ones in the beer garden. We got in there about 6 o'clock, and then I remember it being 11 o'clock, and being us. There was just us in the beer garden. It was dark, and
love it. I love it.
So a great occasion. And in fact, after the first day when we was in the boozer, we were sitting as a band talking, and when can we come in? We've found our man. We've found the sound. We were talking about booking up for the second single already, when we could come in, which we've actually done. But I think that will link on to one of the other questions at the end, possibly.
Yeah, cool.
So
definitely. All right. So kind of linking on to that, what was it like working with Andy Baldwin, who's previously worked with Oasis and Blur?
Oh, I had heard of Metropolis. I hadn't personally heard of Andy, but I had heard of Metropolis. And when Reese we was in our rehearsal room, and he said, "Oh, Smith, we booked up and we spoke about mastering." And Smith said, "I'd do a master, but I recommend, if you're in your budget, to go to Metropolis." And when Reese said that, I went, "Oh, Metropolis." He works with Metropolis, and Reese said, "I've never heard who are these guys?" And I went, "Metropolis are top boys." I knew of them because I knew quite a bit of work they'd done, but didn't didn't really know the personal mastering engineers. And then Smith said, "Listen." So when he mixed the track, and when we finally got the mix back after that, he said, "I recommend." He said, "I use Andy Hippie Baldwin quite a lot, and especially for this kind of music." So we checked out Andy's credits, and the first one was remastered Oasis Morning Glory. Story Morning Glory. We were like, we don't need to read anymore. He's our man.
That'll do. That'll do. Wicked.
Yeah, we didn't need to read it, but when we did read his credits further on, Oasis, Blur, Amy Winehouse, Pet Shop Boys, UB40, and we checked out Andy's Spotify playlist. He's actually got a Spotify playlist, and literally, and I was really interested to hear, because Morning Glory is one of my favourite albums, obviously. And I was really interested to hear like what the remastered version sounded like. But you can hear the difference, because obviously Morning Glory come out in '95, and because of all sort of the streaming stuff and maybe the record companies, when stuff like remastered come about, obviously all the record companies rush to get their stuff out. But you can hear a big difference. Not I wouldn't say much, but you can hear the difference.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, working with
Right,
Andy
so
and sorry.
that's all right. That's all right. So you say Sunset Rains are set to take their place at the forefront of South London's rock and roll scene. What is the rock and roll scene in South London like these days?
Yeah, I mean it's quite healthy, and to be honest with you, in our bio, we're ready to take our slot at the front of the rock and roll scene, But it's a very healthy, independent scene out there, and obviously, it's not the mainstream, because of the way the music industry works now and the record companies, But it's a very healthy scene out there, and we love interacting with other bands. Me and Reese, we're quite active on social media. We run our social media basically. We love hearing other bands, and it's a really healthy, independent scene. I feel, and led by bands like the Bracknell, Pastel, Marseille, the Young Lads, who Smith has produced a few of their songs. Their new song Fever is massive sounding, and I think Andy mastered that as well. But yeah, we love Maze are big. I think they're London lads, But yeah, we love the scene, and of course IC1's coming back together after 10 years, you know. So just a little thing. When
Wicked.
I first heard Lee and when I first heard the front, Lee and Reese's band at the Camden Rocks Festival, I remember walking down the canal and going, "What is that sound?" And then I see the boys performing, but actually, me and my missus were there because I knew of the IC1s, and they were headlining later on at another bar. So
Okay.
we had got there, unknown to me. The front were playing another gig later on, but we had a good drink outside. The front had like loads of their crew, and I remember meeting a lot of their crew that day. And our manager Dino was there. There's a great photo of us, all together. But I remember going to see the IC1s headlining pub in Camden for that day. But yeah, the IC1s coming back, I think is big for the scene. Smithy produced their album, and
Mm.
sounding massive. So the
Yeah,
scene is,
definitely.
is is really healthy.
That's good. Really good. Right. So what was the first live performance you ever did yourself and you ever did with the band?
So, going to come clean. We've not actually done any. Well, up until this interview, I'm glad this is just let people know we're being interviewed. This is Monday the 20th. I don't know when this is going to come
Yeah.
out, but
Yeah.
we up until yesterday we hadn't done any gigs. Our first official live debut was going to be supporting the IC1s at Dingwalls
Okay.
in front of 500 people. I mean, who does that as their first gig?
Crazy people. Crazy people.
Yeah, literally. So we were sort of like, we hadn't, because what we found was when we were trying to get gigs with some promoters, they were asking us, where's your YouTube video? Where's your Spotify link? Where's your Apple Music? And we were like, well, we can bring good numbers, but we were finding with some people around Camden, we were trying to get to promoters, but they wanted online stuff. So that's why we said, well, let's get in then to the studio and get a single or two released so we can then offer the people that. So we were trying to get gigs, but no one would give us a gig. But really happy really happy to say we did our first unofficial warm-up gig yesterday at the Amersham Arms in New Cross.
What place?
Yeah, that's a normal reaction when people hear about the Amersham Arms.
What a place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was for our nearest and dearest. So we sort of wanted a warm-up gigs before we went to Dingwalls, which is obviously a very well-respected and legendary place. Huge artists have played down there, down the years. But yeah, happy to say yesterday we got up on stage and did 2 sets, and we absolutely rocked it. The energy. There was about 35, yeah, 35, 40 people. I'd say 40 max of our nearest and dearest. But it was, we stepped up our rehearsal. We rehearsed twice a week, and so yeah, we rocked it yesterday. Happy
wicked,
to say.
wicked. Yeah, glad to hear it. Glad to hear it went well.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, another random question. If you could say 5 albums
Go on.
by 5 different artists from a burning building, which 5 are you going for?
Number one, definitely maybe Oasis. Number two, Are You Experienced, Jimi Hendrix. Number three, Abbey Road by the Beatles. Personally, it is a personal, but yeah, it would be Appetite for Destruction and Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd.
Brilliant. That's a great album to finish it off there. That question.
Yeah, one of
Yeah.
my favorite. Still listen to that album on headphones, blast it out, and I still hear stuff after God knows how many years that I'd never heard before. So how was that
Yeah.
possible?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's one of
funny
my
when you listen to an album like you've listened to for years and years and years, and you listen to it again, you can hear a guitar part. You think, never heard that before. Fucking hell.
re-recorded that.
Yeah. Maybe it's part of the genius of, people like Dave Gilmour and all the
Yeah,
rest of them. And
yeah, and the engineers at Abbey Road. So Dark Side of the Moon that was recorded at Abbey Road, and which is legendary. Obviously most people would know, but the engineers there at Abbey
mm,
Road, Alan
yeah.
Parsons produced that album, and he is a legend in the engineering producing world. But yeah, what
Do you know, no, go on after you, mate. After you.
No, please, please.
No, I was going to say, I was reading an article yesterday about Dave Gilmour and Roger Waters. They cannot stand each other. They fucking
And
hate
it's
each other.
real. Yeah, yeah, it is real. I mean, there's a lot of animosity down the years.
Yeah.
I was a bit gutted when they reunited for Live Aid. I love a good rock and roll, but
Mm,
obviously it was maybe a cause that but yeah, no, their hatred towards each other is
yeah,
real, and
absolutely.
yeah, it happens. But yeah, Pink Floyd, one of my favourites, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Great question, by the way.
Yeah, cheers, man. I like to throw a few curveballs in there just to catch people
Yeah,
out.
yeah, it's good.
Right. So obviously, you say you did your first gig yesterday. What song do you reckon went down the best yesterday?
I would say our single "Leave It All Behind" because so we did 2 sets basically. So we did the set that we're going to play at the Walls, which was 7, because we've got 30, hopefully 35 minutes. We're going to try and stretch. We're going to try and convince the boys to 35 minutes, but we basically got 30 minutes. So we did that, and then we had a little break, and then we come on and did 10 songs, and we played 3 songs that we've been introducing again, and then we just mixed the first set up. But yeah, I think "Leave It All Behind" as an just an energy, as you say, it's a in your face rocker. I think because people had heard that it was the one they've been listening to for a week off Spotify and YouTube. We got
Yeah.
a video on my YouTube channel. Yeah, I think that went down and pretty well. But yeah, we there's a couple of other songs. Our second single, which I'll let you know, is called "How It Turns Out." That's so Smithy's mixing that at the moment. We're very close to having that as a final mix. That went down really well. And actually, there's a song that comes from Lee's history because Lee's been in a few bands before, and he's got his old school friends. And Lee was in a band, The Front, and then a band called The Roaches back in the day. And he wrote a song called Jimmy Whaler, which is a great song. And all his old crew loved that song. And when we said, "Oh, we're going to play it," that went down a storm actually, because the buzz sort of a lot of people knew that of Lee's sort of side and his friends, and got a great crew, his family, and he's got some great friends, good lads, and that
Yeah.
went down a storm actually, and yeah.
I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. What are your earliest memories of recording?
Yeah, I remember recording in Sound City. No, not Sound City. It is Sound City in New Cross in like 2008. I think that was, apart from being in school maybe and doing a few things, but my first official experience was being in Sound City in New Cross with Chris. I forget his name. Chris was like the engineer producer there. Sound City was like it was a rehearsal place, and then upstairs Chris had got a studio. So and yeah, I remember being in there, and being in the studio is can be. I mean, I'm used to it now, I would say, but a lot it can be quite intimidating. You know, when people they call it red light fever. You know, so people go, you know, you know your part, but when that red light comes on and people go, right, we're rolling, the tape's rolling, or we're recording, whatever it is, you know, sometimes it can go, I played this song loads of times. Why am I, you know, why am I messing up here? And you know, I've sort of got used to it now myself, I would say. But yeah, that was a great experience for me. But I would say that experience, you know, I didn't know really much about mixing and mastering then. And I remember coming out of there, and Chris had recorded a great job. And I remember Wayne, the session drummer, doing some great work, and he'd learned some songs. But I remember coming out of there thinking, why does it not sound like it does on the radio? You know, because I didn't know it was like, well, this is your recording. You've still got to get it mixed and mastered. I mean, that was unknown to me. Still, I didn't know, you know, and I knew quite a lot of bands, but you know about producers and this, but I just thought you'd go in and you know you get done, and you know,
Yeah,
but people don't understand that process of getting it mixed and mastered, and you know, they say a great master comes from a great mix, and a great mix comes from a great recording, and a great recording is a performance, which comes from a great song. So it's a whole chain of things really. But yeah, recently was Smith before, and Lee had been in with a guy called Adrian Breakspear, who I think was it not the War on Drugs or the Adrian Breakspear is like a great producer, and
I know.
Lee had been in the studio with him years ago. Yeah, yeah, he's a great producer to be honest. And Lee said, you know, he put us down as a band and in a good way, and you know, really analysed the songs and that. But yeah, we're working. But yeah, that's my earliest memory, personal memory.
So you said earlier you've got a little recording studio at home. Talk us through that. Do you do much work on that?
Sorry, Martin. It was just a bit. The link went there a bit. Sorry, mate.
Okay. Yeah, you were talking earlier about your home studio, like on your Mac you've got behind you. Do you do much work on that, or?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to. I mean, we're practicing so much now. Well, I say twice a week, and then I'm learning at different parts. So I haven't, but yeah, I did quite a lot on Logic, and got quite handy on it. And mind you, it makes you laugh when you go into a studio and you see the professionals doing their stuff. They're like ninjas on their computer. And it's oh my god, I thought I
Yeah,
was all right on it, but they're like on another level, you know. But it's great being around them people. But yeah, I've been working on Logic for quite a while, and I produced and in fact that's how Lee. When Lee, I was sending him some songs, some of my solo stuff. I used to be called Street Man Sam as a solo sort of act. It was a blues kind of thing, and was releasing some songs. But there was a song I did called "Getting Harder to Keep Sane," and
yeah,
I did Logic for the drums. But I mean, a big shout out to Shelby, who now runs Sensible Music in King's Cross. Her and Grace run Sensible Music. Shelby and Grace, but Shelby got a great big fat drum sound for me. This was while still in Old Street, using like the API stuff and that. I used to send it off to get mixed and mastered. But I remember Lee turning around to me like, who's your drummer? Like, I really love who's your drummer? And I said, no, I said, I do it on my computer. And he said, what? I said, yeah, I said, I like make music on my computer and then I send it off to get mixed and mastered. He was like, he said, mate, sounds like a real drummer. And like the new Logic, I mean, I started on Logic 8 or whatever it was, you know, back in the day, you know, now it's
yeah,
LPX, you know, Logic X. But you know, if you really take your time and you get involved with the drummer, and it's got a great thing on it where you can like lay down your riff or your rhythm, and then you can say to the drummer, like click a box, it'll go follow this channel. If you you go like follow this channel, so it will give you like a normal drum beat anyway, and then you can mess about with it. But if you've got it will lock in, and I got pretty good at using that. And you know, a lot of people, I had a few drummers actually say to me, Sam, that sounds like a real, and you can change the velocity, you can change the groove and this and that, and push it and pull it. The sign of a great drummer is to be pushing and pulling stuff, And, so yeah, it's Logic. I love Logic, and I've actually done a bit of producing. I produced my wife's father-in-law for a couple of songs. My father-in-law, my wife's dad, and yeah, been doing a producing for a couple of other artists. So
And that's good.
yeah, love Logic.
Is there
Thank you.
a track of yours like that you've done yourself, or it's part of the band that carries a deep personal meaning for you that you've got like a real sort of personal connection to?
Yeah, I would say there's a couple. I'll speak for the band now. Yeah, there's a couple of songs. So there's one we debuted yesterday actually. In the second set, and that was called Dreams. And Lee wrote that about his little daughter Isabel. So Lee's a dad, and his little daughter Isabel is 3 now, a little girl, and what a character she is, as you'll probably know. Your twin daughters,
Yeah,
and she's a little
yeah,
rock star even at 3 years old. And
yeah. That's
yeah,
good.
she's a beautiful little character. And Lee wrote this song. But the great thing about Dreams is, and Lee has said, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but because he said, I don't want people, it's you wouldn't, when you listen to it, you wouldn't say, oh, that's a song a father wrote about his daughter. It could mean, like many great songs, it could mean, just a friendship, a relationship, whether that be your partner, whether that be a family member. It's such a great song, and I truly believe that it has. Sometimes I hate using this term, but the crossover appeal, because when we was giving this out to our friends and family, when we got this recorded by a demo, when we got it mixed and mastered by Old Street, everyone said that is a hit. That is a hit, because everyone goes, "Oh, all your stuff is Oasis influenced," and we're like, "Yeah, it's great. Of course it is." We love that.
Of course it is.
But Dreams is, yeah, that's who we are. But Dreams is a beautiful song, and that was so good to play yesterday. And there's another very beautiful song that Lee wrote about his friend Sam. I think it's Sam Brown, but Sam, he very sadly passed away a few years ago. And there's a song called "A New Place to Start," and that is epic. That is epic. And I remember when Lee demoed that, we were working on the first couple of tunes when he was playing, when he was over in my place. And he was probably sat where I'm sat now, and I was over by my I think he was having a fag break, and I was, and we was. He said, "Oh, I've got this thing, Sam." He said, "Like, what do you think of this?" And he was just playing to me. We weren't looking at each other, and I'm telling you, mate, it was a lump in the It was a lump in the throat moment. I was like, oh my God, I could just this emotion. And yeah, when we get to record that properly, we did a record of it, we haven't got it right. But when we record that, it will be epic. And since we've been playing that with a band, Reese has, when we do an outro, Reese has taken the outro. He takes us to places recently that, as we've been going to places as a band that we've never been before. He's a leader. If we go with Reese, he can take you to places that we've never been. So yeah,
Yeah.
I Dreams and a new place to start. But unfortunately, at the moment, you might not hear them songs for a while. I'd love them to get recorded. Yeah, you might not hear them for a while, but if you come and see us live, you will. To anyone?
Get them tickets, people.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's a play. It was real good to play them 2 songs yesterday, which weren't in the first set.
Brilliant. Can you think of a piece of music that has had a big impact on you from when you were younger and you take it with you up to now?
I mean, classic tracks. To say, I remember, for me personally, as I said earlier, that rock and roll star with my dad, and that was a moment for me. Live Forever, since I was 12 years old, basically 31 years, has been my favourite song. It's never changed. I still spine tingling when I hear that. The drum intro, and just when the whole tone of the song.
Solo.
You're both I mean, that the first one, and I still can never get that little rundown that he does. When he goes, I'm like, oh, I can't get it perfect. It annoys me so much.
I can't. He's so nimble fingered. Like I'm quite big, so my fingers can't handle it anyway. But I just try and
Yeah,
fluff
look,
way
I've got a
round it.
small
But
hand, so I've got no excuse. But yeah, that little rundown he does, and then I can sort of there's the outro, but there's that little down down. I can play that the outro, but that little run in the first one always gets me. But yeah, I remember, "Wish You Were Here," Pink Floyd. I know I'm picking too many here. Sorry, mate. I said one. So, but yeah,
do you know what? Wish you were here. Every Friday night, me and a couple of mates, we used to go to this Weatherspoons pub in a place called Selsdon in
oh
Croydon.
yeah,
We'd
I
be
know it. I know
drinking
of it.
all night. Yeah, drinking all night. Then we go back to one of the fellas' house. His dad used to live there. We
Yeah,
should drive us back to his house, pissed.
as you
Got
did
away
back
with
in
it.
the day.
Yeah. And my mate's dad, he would have the selection of songs you put on, and one of them was "Wish You Were Here," Pink Floyd, and it's just one of the greatest songs ever written.
Ever, and we were saying earlier, you were saying earlier about Roger Waters and Dave Gilmour, I mean,
Yeah,
that wrote that together, as they did quite a bit of stuff, but Roger Waters was the main songwriter, but that was they wrote that together. They sat down on their acoustics and wrote that,
yeah,
and and that song, whether it is about Syd Barrett, obviously the original founding member of Pink Floyd, whether it is, but that song, I think takes on so much meaning, like for anyone that's maybe lost someone, and that
mm.
maybe had a connection with that someone with that song, and it's such an emotive song.
Yeah. I mean, that bit where he sings about two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl. Anyone
Yeah,
can connect to it.
of
Anyone
course.
can connect to it.
Yeah, yeah. Like many great songs, you can use it, you can take it your own way, and sometimes when you find out what a song is actually about, and you go,
Yeah,
oh, I didn't think that. I took it as what I was thinking.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
that's the beauty of it. So yeah.
Right. So, are there any other bands other than people like the Icy Ones and the others you mentioned that you've enjoyed playing with in the local scenes? You want to give a bit of a shout out to?
We've not done any gigs with anyone yet, so yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
I wish we could come
That's the
back,
point.
maybe back on in a year. If we could redo this in a
Yeah,
year, it'd be great.
I
But yeah,
never
we're
should have deleted that fucking question.
yeah, sorry, mate. So I really
That's all right.
appreciate you putting this on so early in our career. It really means a lot to us, and
That's
yeah,
all right.
hopefully how good the single was. But yeah, heavy ball are coming back after 10 years, so we're going to be playing with them with the IC, and then yeah, we're looking to hit the scene hard next year. We possibly trying to get a few. We spoke with we were friends with Maze, the band who are playing at the Scala next May. I think after that gig, we may. I'd love to support them and try and get out and get on a support stop for them. Possibly, there's a great band north of the border in Scotland called Hippie, and they play King Tut Tuts, obviously the famous Alan
Okay.
McGee band Oasis. They played there in September, just gone. They're a great band. Check them out if you can. They've got a great sound, and their visuals on Instagram are superb. Their guitarist Hugh,
Wicked.
I think he does all their work, and yeah, they're a great band. Yeah, we're looking to get out and rock and roll with some bands, and there's a great new band out called Stereo Silence. They're made up of guys that have been in the scene, I think, for a while, but Stereo Silence seem to be rocking. So yeah, hopefully next year we'll be able to get out and rock with a few bands.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Right. So, what does the future hold for you guys both in the short and the long term?
So the short term, so we're awaiting the mix on our second album, our second single
Hmm.
from Smith. So that's all recorded. We went back in August to record that. That was great fun. Another 2 days, and then we're waiting on the mix for that, which shouldn't be too long. We've had like a couple of versions to and fro, which is quite normal with mixes.
Wicked.
So once again, we're going to use Andy Baldwin at Metropolis. So yeah, he said he's on standby. We've been messaging Andy saying it's on its way soon. So we don't know, depending on when we get it back. We don't know. In fact, I'd like to ask your advice because we don't know. Because normally they say give it a month before when you upload it to Spotify, you get to a month to its release. So we don't know if we're going to get it back. And then if we release it December, because obviously December is sort of everybody's gearing up for Christmas. or
Yeah.
wait till the end of January because which will link in nicely because we're back at the Amersham Arms on Sunday the 1st of February and that's going to be our first headline show. We're putting that show on ourselves. We're back there. So we don't know. I think time may just be against us to get it out this year, and it's such a shame because we had some momentum. We've got a gig on. We've got the Dingwalls gig, and we've got the Elephant's Head in Camden Sunday the 14th of December.
Okay.
Put on Joe Upanova, who's a geezer. Thank you, Joey. He's putting us on there with a couple of other bands. So yeah, so I don't know if we're going to get that out this year. What would you think?
I'd say probably wait until the Amersham Arm gig.
Yeah,
The Amersham
yeah,
Arms gig. It gives you enough time,
yeah. It's a
I would
great
think.
content as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably not the person to ask, but that's probably what I would do.
You've got a respected opinion, mate. And mind you,
Oh, cheers, man.
the missus made a good point to me the other day. She went, "Well, if you get it out for Christmas around that time, people would use it for their Christmas parties because
Yeah, true.
this one, how it turns out, has got a lot more. It's like a scary, upbeat kind of rock one, whereas Leave It All Behind was in your face punk rock in a way. This one has got a great scary feel about it, and
A bit more
it's quite
dancey, kind of.
yeah, yeah, it's very dancey to be honest with you. So yeah, but yeah, that's the short term. We're looking. We spoke as a band yesterday about trying to get in with Smith RYP Recordings in December. We're going to see if we can fit it in. We're just trying to try a day, and yeah, and then but long term, you know, albums, you know, or, first of all EPs. I think next year before we release an album, you know, because it's quite a lot trying to get a budget together. You know, it's not easy. It's not cheap living in London, as you will know.
No, it's fucking not.
You know, and yeah, yeah. So yeah, we you know, I mean, as it stands, Lee was over it a couple of weeks ago, and we was working on the 27th song that me and Lee have worked on.
Wicked.
So
That's good.
yeah, there is plenty, and there is great. You know, there's in your face rockers, and then we've got Lee's got a lovely tender sort of songwriting, different sides to his songwriting, and it's still electric, but it's not rock. You know, there's some great like when you finally hear Dreams. Dreams is a beautiful, dare I say it, guitar pop, you know, kind of thing, which is not you know, but it's not a term you should be shying away from. But you know, we've got a lovely sort of different side to us that shows Lee's songwriting that I really think is, you know, is it shows us in a different light. And yeah, so I can't wait for people to sort of hear that. We've sort of got 5 or 6 songs that fit each other, like the real rock in your face. And then on the other side, there's a lovely 4 or 5 songs that would make another great EP. The kind of guitar softer side, you know, not quite acoustic because it will be full band, but you can hear there's a lot of acoustic influence there.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Right,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that brings us to the end of the interview. Enjoyed being on?
Oh, mate, it's been a pleasure. I had a buzz. Yeah, thank you
Brilliant.
so much. From
Yeah, I'd love.
all of the band, we'd like to say thank you because I think Reese actually made contact with you
Okay. Yeah, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
after he see the IC1s,
Yeah,
and then we spoke. Really, it should have been Reese, our drummer, and Lee coming on, but we couldn't quite get the dates or timings ready. So they said, "Sam,
yeah.
go on."
No, you've been brilliant.
No, thank you, mate. That's much appreciated. And
You've
we
been
thank you for your
fantastic.
support. And yeah,
That's all right.
we love the show, and maybe we could do it again in a year when we've got some more songs out and more gigs.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. Right. Do you want
Yeah,
to reiterate about the gig you got coming up?
yeah. So Sunset Ruins will be making our official live debut, Dingwalls, on Saturday the 8th of November, supporting
Yeah,
IC1s for their album launch. We're playing with Heavy Ball supporting IC1s, which is going to be a great night for the album launch.
yeah.
And we're at the Elephant's Head in Camden High Street, Sunday the 14th of December. And then if you want to put it in for your diary next year, people, we're at the Amersham Arms headlining our first show on Sunday the 1st of February.
Oh, that's going to be a gig
So
to be at,
there are
people.
gigs.
So,
Yes,
like,
yeah, we're packed that.
right, how can people reach you online? Got socials, website you want to give out?
Yeah, so Instagram is at Sunset Officials, at Sunset Ruins Official, excuse me. It is at Sunset Ruins. Facebook is at Sunset Ruins Official. But yeah, we got our official Spotify artist page up last week. We got it because it takes a couple of weeks to claim, because when you put our debut single up, we went through DistroKid, and it took a couple of
Yeah.
days for us to claim our official page. But we're up on Spotify now, so please check that out. We've got a YouTube channel. If you just tap in Sunset Ruins, I think it's Sunset Ruins Official. We've got like a video up there of some stills of some of the studio session, and we did a great photo shoot with Neil McCarthy. Big shout out to Neil McCarthy. So we've made like a video for the song, for the single "Leave It All Behind," and made up of stills and some great shots from Neil and the studio. So yeah,
Wicked.
I think that covers it.
Please like, share, follow, and subscribe to Sound Like Us podcast, Instagram, YouTube, and all that shit. So, is
Yeah.
there a song you want to play out on?
Blast the single, mate. Leave It All Behind.
Yeah. Brilliant. So,
Can you do
playing
that
us out
your
today
end?
is Sunset. I needed to send a WAV file, but we can deal with that after.
Oh, right.
It's all right. We
Yeah?
can sort it.
Oh,
We can
right.
sort it.
I'll send it through to you.
Yeah. Sweet. Cheers, man. Right. Finally, to play us out is Sunset Ruins with Leave It All Behind. Sam, it's been a real pleasure, mate. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to do it.
Yeah, likewise, Martin. Thank you. All the best. Enjoy. See ya.